Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Naughty Neighbours. First up we have My Neighbours Don't Seem to Think Theft is a Big Deal by Former Bear 1729. My neighbour is a Karen, and I'm just at my wit's end about it. I moved here from the country, and I'm not a monster, so we brought our 14-year-old barn cat with us. All the neighbours loved him. We put retired barn cat on his collar. It was cute. Karen got my number, was texting me upwards of 50 times a day about absolutely nothing. Then would get upset when I didn't reply. I have kids and a job, but she just sits around all day. I just couldn't keep up, so I stopped responding completely, which was correct. Then our cat went missing. I put up flyers and checked the shelters, and finally her daughter, Stacy, who was no contact with Karen, got my number and texted me that Karen had given our cat to a stranger on Facebook Marketplace, claiming he'd have a better life. I just don't have proof outside of her daughter texting me that. Her daughter, Stacy, has a son who's the same age as one of my children. Karen's lovely husband would take his grandson and my daughter to the circus, aquarium, stuff like that every week. Well, Karen's husband finally left her. Some positivity. Husband would still come by every week with grandson to pick up my child for fun weekend activities, and seeing his car and grandson in my yard made Karen very angry. Karen started selling an insane amount of things on Marketplace. Then a 6-foot privacy fence was installed, literally touching her driveway, to separate our properties, because the yard between our driveways are mine. Children were livid that Karen stole their cat and put up a fence. They talked to her husband, who said they could hang a bird feeder and a light on our side so they can enjoy it. They're still married, so he is the property owner as well. The spite fence went all the way to the road, so we couldn't see when leaving our driveway. The city came out this morning and let her know it needed to be shortened to a maximum of 4 feet. Then immediately after they left, Karen walked onto our property and stole the bird feeder and light. I texted her asking for them back. They were $80, so I did want them back. As she said she threw them away in her trash can in her backyard, but I was welcome to get them out of her trash. I told her I'd already filed a report that she trespassed and stole from us, so unless she wanted destruction of property added as a charge, she needed to return them to the property line. She waited a couple of hours and texted back that she'd put them there, and she just wants peace. She doesn't act like it. When I went to get them, the lantern was busted up, like it had been slammed against something. I told her she'd need to pay for it, and she said only if I give her the damaged lantern. That's such weird behavior. Anyways, now I've bought shepherd hooks to put in my yard near the giant fence to hang the bird feeder and light, so my very feral kids aren't to wage war on her. Let them fight. Having a Karen neighbour is horrible and I hate it. I'm not usually one to call the police or be petty. Bulls. I'm not usually one to call the police or be petty, but I think I've been too passive, and now I'm not sure how much is too much or how much is too little. Pia's husband is documenting all the things in their home she's selling, i.e. riding lawnmower, swimming pool, living room set, etc. So he can be compensated in divorce court. Good for him. Right, well, you definitely need to get a camera installed for when she's coming on your property, because I doubt it was the first out, it'll be the last time. So if she does anything again, you can catch her in the act. I'm assuming the husband didn't know anything about the cat, otherwise you could have called. In fact, you should probably call the police about the cat anyway. If the daughter is saying that this happened, then that's her daughter. That's a reliable enough witness as to what happened. They should be able to... I'm wondering, could they get access to her computer or her phone and see the conversation with whomever she sold the cat to on Facebook Marketplace? That might be something worth pursuing. I'm not sure if the police will do anything, but it wouldn't hurt to try. I'd certainly try in your case because, poor cat. Alright. Story number 2. I'm so tired of my nosy neighbor. By October Baby, 1981. I'm starting to get sick of my neighbor's comments, don't get me wrong. They're actually nice people, but have pitiful boundaries, no kids and loads of unwanted advice. We purchased my family home about 9 years ago because my parents were alcoholics who couldn't afford the taxes. They lived in the home till they died, and now it's ours. It needed tons of renovations. My husband is handy, and we have done all the reno stuff ourselves. My husband is so close to being finished with the outside, but the inside isn't excellent. Livable, but not my style, and partially renovated. We started tearing out things a while back, and when you're doing renovations on your own, not paying people to do it for you, it isn't done overnight. And since we both work full-time, it happens when we're off work, or have the extra income. Materials are off the charts, expensive now, plus permits. Anyway, we have several sets of older neighbors, and every last one of them who come around makes snide comments like, "You're better than me. I couldn't live in this disarray and clutter." The comment today was, "I couldn't live in this mess. We should consider hiring help. Maybe it's my OCD." Or, when my husband is outside, they comment about how slow the renovations are happening, what they like, and what they don't. On a side note, my husband has a boat. Not junk by any means, but we don't go out in it because of this goddamn house. But anyway, they comment about his toys, and the comments always feel very condescending, always followed by, "We are your friends and we love you guys, we just want to help." Sometimes the best help someone can give you is shutting the fuck up. Okay, my parents were gaslighters and backhanded comment people, so every time they start with the comments, it upsets me and makes me feel like I'm 12 again, and makes me feel very self-conscious, like I have to explain things. To the point I'm embarrassed to have people in my own home. We aren't rich. My mom just died in 2023. I took care of her throughout her illness. We couldn't do any work inside as it seemed to upset her breathing or her headache's brain cancer. It was hard, but we managed. We have gotten a lot done in 2 years since her passing. Front porch built, new windows, new paint, new garage, almost finished, etc., but life happens. They are really going to be on edge when my husband has knee replacements in December. All the renos will have to come to a halt for a while. I too am incredibly tired living in a never-ending construction project. But what I don't need are people lending their unsolicited opinions, who have no stake in this, and who are obviously not going to pick up a hammer to make it go faster. I don't know, maybe I'm too sensitive. But I take great care to avoid all these neighbors, mainly because of their comments. It isn't just one set either. We have building inspectors living next door to us, and we have to get permits every time a flea farts, or they will call the town and try to get people in trouble. Oh, keep a close eye on what they're doing, please, please. All the other neighbors have experienced this issue with them, and we don't want to be on their shit list too. So here I am. 2 sets of nosy neighbors who literally just moved to the neighborhood from Michigan and Illinois within the past 5 years. I've lived in this house, this neighborhood, the majority of my life. So I really don't want their advice, their friendship, their shitty backhanded compliments, or their suggestions. Had they seen this house before we started, they would have complained that we should knock it down instead of fixing it. But it has been in my family for generations. It is in a beautiful location on the waterway. I don't want to sell it. I want to pass it on to my children at some point. Anyway, sorry for the rant. I just don't know what to say to these people to be nice, but direct and still keep the peace. I'd start with, bless your heart. Thank you so much for your concern. Over-nice them. That's generally what I would do to people like this. You lay it on so thick they know it can't be sincere, but you're not being rude to them, so they can't really say anything bad. They'll eventually get offended and stop coming around. That's how I'd approach it. Or a cattle prod. Story number 3. Stay-at-home mom raising young kids, and neighbors continuing displaying aggression, looking for advice by Still Life 11. I, 35 female, am a stay-at-home mama to a 3-year-old with our second child due in a few months. We live the perfect distance from our main town, about 15 minutes up in the hills, very close to a beautiful lake, and can count our blessings in many different ways. And then there's our direct across the street neighbors. This family has been stationed in these hills for generations, and they do act like they own the neighborhood. Not hills have eyes levels of disturbing, but from the outside looking in they behave, act, and display the textbook white trash definition. The amount of old vehicles, old boats, and other trailers piling up in their yard is increasing quickly. They seem to be steadily moving family members onto the property, adding trailers and towable campers to their back and front yards. Trash is always flying around, certainly sounds like it. Along with their booming bass rap music they blast whenever they can. We have lived across from them for 6 years. The first 3 they always kept to themselves. I've been over with fruit tree produce and other neighborly things I like to share within our community twice, only to be met with, "Don't answer it," yells behind closed doors. They keep a pack, 5 or 6 of large pit bulls within a chain-link fence enclosure behind their home. Could have predicted that one almost. It seems to be part of the uniform these days. For bad neighbors. Dogs bark at everything, but they never really bothered us. Until when our son was about a year old and the dogs ended up making their way out of their enclosure. This has happened a handful of times before, but in the fall of 2023 it happened 3 days in a row. And they were aggressive to all the neighbors trying to go on walks down our road. The 3rd day of it, my husband and I called animal control, which was the sheriff since we live out of town limits. When the sheriff arrived, they were met with the school bus dropping off the family's youngest kid, who ran off the bus ushering the dogs inside of their home. The sheriff found and took offense to other issues while being on their property, along with their youngest coming home to an empty home, as they always did, and wrote them a couple $1,000 fine. Sweet. The couple showed back up a few hours later, livid. From inside my home, I heard them screaming at my next-door neighbors. I went out, baby in arms, to tell them what happened. All I was met with was the man's fury and yells, his partner trying to shove him back into their vehicle. The next day my husband spoke with the man, and that seemed to be that. But ever since, for 2.5 years now, the woman flies her angry middle finger birds at me and says, just loud enough. Is a delightful word, but I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube. Maybe on Tuesdays. Whenever I drive by or walk with my child. It hasn't stopped. Even after asking if she would like to talk about it. I walk with pepper spray and a pretty gnarly ice axe, but I'm finding myself feeling unsafe in and around my own home. I have no problem reaching out to Johnny Law when needed. It seems like they have something to hide. Unfortunately, there is a drug issue in the area, a nasty ring their other local family members seem to be a part of. Is there anything that can be done? Should I take some classes and start packing cameras on our home? Yes, but everyone should do that. The only thing I've done is respond to the woman's bird flipping recently, 3 months ago, and have now stopped by blowing her kisses. I bet she'll love that. They show zero aggression when my husband is around. They fear the penis. Only when I am solo. And the kids, of course. I'm never truly solo at this stage in life, let's be real. I don't want my children to experience the weight of this unnecessary baggage anymore. Granted, I know there are many worse cases than my own. Constructive thoughts and advice appreciated. Honestly, I really don't think it's going to go any further than flipping off the bird and just being assholes in general. It doesn't sound like they have enough of a spine to do anything more. So while it's not nice, it's not pleasant, I would just keep on keeping on and ignore them. They're flipping you off to get a rise out of you, so when you do respond, difficult though it is not to, I understand, don't respond. Because it's what they want. It's what they want. And it just kind of feeds into itself. So I just leave them to their silly, silly nonsense. The law's already got them once, and if they're breaking the law again, it'll get them again. You shouldn't have to pack and move now if you don't want to, especially not with a baby on the way. I mean, for heaven's sake. Unless you really, really want to move to somewhere else, maybe a bigger house would be better for your growing family. But right now, nah. I just leave them. They sound like a bunch of clowns to me, really. And the little dogs, too. Okay, story number 4. Downstairs asshole. Well, that's where they're usually located. By a suspicious context. I moved into this apartment a week ago today, and for a bit of context, it's the first time I've had my own place in 5 years, after a long period of mental health issues, being on SSDI, then rehab, being in a sober living house. Basically, I've come a long way and saved a lot of money, etc. to get here. I understand that entitles me to, or guarantees me nothing. Means nothing at the end of the day. Just adding on how disappointing it is to have to deal with this situation. Also, my landlord has control of the HVAC. This is a very large, oaky old house split into 3 units. That's just how it is. I know it sounds odd and unfamiliar, potentially rife with issues, and it is, but it's not uncommon in my city, so yeah. Also keep in mind that I'm dealing with them not turning on their air conditioning when it's 85 degrees outside, and don't have the money to get an in-window AC unit or whatever like that right now. Okay, on to the neighbours. They're a couple, probably in their 40s, with a kid who is maybe 3 years old, and a baby. So that comes with its own level of noise. Whatever. I can't and don't fault them for that. But they frequently leave the kids' toys all over the hallway and driveway. Whatever. I let it go and ignore it, but they also leave their cigarette butts and bits of trash everywhere, outside, and also somehow manage to track cigarette butts into the hallway. Whatever. I'll let it go, and pick up after them because I don't like that. Leave the toys politely outside their apartment door. The real problem is the man. They have 2 pit bulls that he clearly just absolutely despises. I frequently hear what are undeniably yelps of pain from them inside, and every time he takes them outside, it's just awful. I look out the window and see him jerking them around violently. They will react to other dogs passing by. I live on a very busy street, lots of people out walking their dogs passing by, and it's obvious he doesn't know how to handle his dogs to begin with. But if the dogs are just standing there sniffing at the air or around in the grass, or one particularly egregious time, the smaller dog was rolling around in the grass on its back, he aggressively jerks the leash to the point the dog cries out in pain. In addition to this, he spends quite literally every single second of taking them outside yelling at them. Doesn't matter what time of day or how they are behaving, I can usually see them out my window. He is yelling at them and yanking them around the entire time. I've seen one of them crouching in the middle of taking a shit, and he will jerk the leash and choke them out. Then he proceeds to slam all the doors on his way back in, as if he needs to blow off steam from his incredibly stressful experience of taking the dogs out. And then, yeah, it's on. He's slamming doors all day long, that's the main issue. On top of this, I understand that this is none of my business and I don't have any reason to suspect physical violence, yet. But in just a week of being here, the couple has had super loud, hours-long domestic disputes involving yelling, walking around outside, and even across the street, locking each other out of the house, and yes, lots and lots of door slamming. I'm not saying that I'm the center of the universe here, but a little consideration of myself and the tenants in the third unit would be nice, just like in reference to the door slamming. I'm concerned about the dogs, and don't know if I can do anything about that. I just really fear retribution. Like every time he takes them outside, I'm so tempted to yell out my window at him, because I'm a very intense person and I despise injustice, but I'm afraid of confrontation and being in a situation where it's super tense and awkward with this awful human being. I guess I feel like my main concern, and the only things I might be able to do anything about, are the door slamming, dog abuse and leaving crap everywhere. I'm reticent to contact my landlord about it because I've had to ask them about a bunch of things already since I've moved in, and I have a gut feeling they couldn't or wouldn't do anything. Any advice, even unhinged, would be appreciated before I lose my mind. Unhinged? Oh, you shouldn't give me that much freedom. I wonder how he'd look with a dog leash. Right, anyway, there's got to be an organisation you can report the animal cruelty to. They could maybe do a check just to make sure the doggies are okay. It definitely doesn't sound like they are. So that is a concern. Check with your other neighbours. See how they feel about the noise. I doubt you're the only person who's being annoyed by it. And I think you might have to start calling the law whenever you hear things like that happening. I mean, if they're content to be in this relationship, I mean, you don't know who's doing most of the aggression. I mean, it very likely is the guy, but it doesn't really matter ultimately. It doesn't mean that you should be stuck in this relationship with them. So I would call the police when things get loud, when the decibel level goes up, when you hear people or animals being hurt. It might not help, but it's really the only thing you can do at this point. You say you're reticent to reach out to your landlord. That's fair enough, but I can guarantee you if you don't reach out to them, they definitely won't help. They might not help if you do reach out to them, but the only way to know. I would gather evidence if you can. Maybe record the noises you're hearing. Keep a note. Just keep a log of when things are happening, times are happening, that sort of thing. I'm not trying to turn you into Sherlock Holmes or anything here, but it generally, knowing what's happening when it's happening, does hold you in good stead if you have to report things. And hopefully your landlord at least takes the possibility of domestic violence or animal cruelty, because it sounds like both are going on here. Well, certainly animal cruelty. It might be these two are just assholes and yelling at each other, which is a form of violence, I suppose. So hopefully they at least take, the animal cruelty and the possibility of domestic violence, if that's what's happening, seriously. You should at least look into every avenue you have at your disposal. It's really not fair. You got your own place for the first time. Some folks were suggesting noise-cancelling headphones. Noise-cancelling headphones are amazing. They're great. Active noise cancelling is wonderful. I don't think it's going to block out your neighbours fighting next door or any of the door slamming. Not at all. It blocks out certain frequencies, it dampens certain sound, but it's not foolproof. It's not magic. They're good to have. I mean, I would recommend everybody get them, but it's not a magic cure-all for this situation. So, short of maybe doing that, and maybe headphones with fans or whatever other to block out the noise, because at the end of the day, let's assume that the man is abusive. Let's assume that he is the abuser, because probably is, let's be honest, they usually are. His partner is going to remain stuck in that situation until she chooses to leave, and no one can make her. So it's not really up to you to fix that, because you just want some peace. So use what's at your disposal. You don't know if you don't try. That's essentially what I'm getting at here. So let's not make decisions for your landlord. Let's let them prove that they're a lazy bastard by reporting it. And same with the police. Call the police when things are happening and keep a note of what's going on. Hopefully that's enough to get things to quiet down, but we'll see. And it could just be that maybe you'll get lucky and it turns out they don't pay their rent or something, or she'll finally kick him out, or he'll kick her out, or maybe they'll both jump off the balcony and you won't have to deal with them anymore. Alright, fifth and final story. Not sure how to handle this bathroom window situation with Neighbours by Sadly Sayer. We've noticed that our new Neighbours' newly built house have a large textured glass bathroom window that faces directly into our yard. In the past, we'd occasionally see skin tones or movement through the glass, but we couldn't make out any actual details. So we assumed it was doing its job and didn't think much of it. Recently, though, we realized that they have a bathtub directly under the window. We found this out because when they were close to the glass, it was revealing enough that we could see everything. As soon as we realized how visible it was, we went over and let them know. A roommate answered and said he would pass the message along. A couple of days later, after noticing nothing had changed, I went back over because I wasn't sure the roommate had actually told them. The homeowner told me he had been informed and said they didn't realize the textured glass was that revealing. I explained that before we could see only skin tones and didn't think it was a big deal, but now that we could clearly see private body parts, I was concerned our child might eventually see something while playing outside or taking the dogs out. Before I could even finish, he cut me off and said they were going to get blinds for the window. I left thinking the issue would be taken seriously and fixed pretty quickly, especially after mentioning that we have a child. However, it's been a while now, and they still haven't put anything up. What's more frustrating is that the tub seems to be getting used regularly. We've noticed because we're outside smokers. So the possibility of someone in our yard seeing them is still there. I mean, to be fair, it's good that they're bathing regularly. My concern isn't what they do in their own bathroom. Everyone deserves privacy in their own home. My concern is that they're now aware that people can clearly see through that window when someone is close to it, yet nothing has been done to address it. Our child spends a lot of time outside, and one of his chores is taking the dogs out, so he's frequently in our yard. We don't have the money to put up expensive privacy fencing, especially when this seems like something that could be fixed with a simple window covering. At this point, I'm not sure what the next step should be. Do we continue trying to communicate with them, or is there another way to handle a situation like this after they've already been made aware of it? Any advice would be appreciated. This is a rare story where there's a satisfying and civilized ending. Update. The situation has been resolved, and I'm grateful for that. I'd like to sincerely thank the Redditors who took the time to offer practical advice, thoughtful perspectives, and constructive suggestions. Even when opinions differed, many of you were respectful and genuinely tried to help, and I appreciate that. As for the smoking comments, I'm already in the process of quitting before making this post, and I'm happy to say that things are going well on that front. I'm excited to continue that journey, and I'm feeling really positive about it. Well, smoking or not, you should be able to go out into your backyard, and as you say, it's close enough that you're going to see in without even really trying. Oh, fun fact, it's illegal to be naked in your own house if you're right up at your windows in a way that people would be able to see you. It will vary. The law will vary from depending on where you are, but yeah. Whenever I get out of the shower, I have to dash over if I forgot to close the curtains quite stealthily so no one can see. That said, some of the responses throughout this thread were surprisingly hostile. It's Reddit. Dismissive and unnecessarily personal. It's one thing to disagree, but it's another to go out of your way to be cruel to someone asking for advice. I genuinely hope some people take a moment to reflect on how they interact with others online, because not every conversation needs to become a pile-on. With that said, I've gotten advice I needed, the matter has been resolved, and I'm thankful to those who have contributed in good faith. Edit, a lot of the Reddit armchair experts here are just wasting their time with unhelpful and dismissive comments. I came for genuine advice, not surface-level takes. I appreciate those who actually provided constructive responses and took the time to engage properly. Just to clarify, the Neighbours upgraded to a much thicker, truly opaque textured coverage for the window. They really should have they should have tested that before installing it, really, shouldn't they? And completely resolved the issue. We're all on great friendly terms now. I mean, you've seen them naked, I should hope so. Thanks for asking. I look forward to checking out the video. Okay, that was just the message they sent to me. Okay, right, that's the end of the video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked down in the description. $1 or more a month gets you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. Sorry, I was just thinking of something funny that I'll tell you in a minute. Monday, Patreon, right. We also have a link to my merchandise store, which is over on Teespring, as well as my Discord server, my Threads account, and my email, if you need to contact me. Speaking of birthday suits, we have a birthday shout-out. This one goes to Enza. She is 34, as per usual, I think. I swear to God, girl, you must be knocking on 50 by this point. Now, this one's a little late. I can honestly say it's not my fault for once. I am innocent. Save the spankings for those who deserve it. But I do hope you had and continue to have an amazing birthday. And as I am still the king of birthdays, I haven't abdicated. You may celebrate for 2 months. 2 months of cake and happiness and whatever makes you, whatever please, cake and happiness and fizzy drinks. And maybe a little glass of wine if you indulge. And I hope your lovely partner Genevieve, who sent this shout out in, hasn't been punished too harshly for neglecting to send it in at the proper time. And before we go, I'd like to sing happy birthday to you. It's been a while since I've done that, so hopefully I remember the words. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anza. Happy birthday to you. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. I've got another video to record. So until next time, thank you very much for watching and take very good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.